Well, first of all, I'm excited that you're here.
Thanks for having me.
You've got dreamy eyes.
Ah, thank you. That's so sweet.
Well, it's true.
I'm also wearing some greenish, like I'm maybe they're being pulled out is what I'm wearing. But
It really does match your outfit.
thanks. Yeah, thank you. Thanks.
You know, I'll start by saying that Check Your Head podcast I started 6 years ago.
Mm,
Um, and we're now a 501(c)(3) nonprofit. And it's really all about saving lives, improving lives in the music community
yeah,
with mental health and addiction recovery. Because we're losing too many people, right? And I feel like the more open and vulnerable and honest you are, uh, just like with your music, the more you can connect with people, especially the stuff that is like embarrassing or you're like, maybe even ashamed. That's the stuff that people are like, oh my gosh, Jordy gets how I feel.
yeah.
And I feel like if he can do it, I can do it.
Mm.
Um,
What you're doing is so important,
Thank you
and
so much.
I'm also very happy to be here and happy to be a part of it. So thanks for having
Oh, of course. You know what? I noticed, I mean, you did that song with David Archuleta, and then I also uh you wrote that song. Um
me. For David, give you
yeah.
the world. Yeah,
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 Give Me the World.
yeah,
I also noticed you had a song called Friends
yeah.
with Emma Lute.
Yeah.
Emma Love of
Do you
Lute.
know Emma?
Yes.
Oh, I love her. Yeah, she's fantastic.
Emma was on one of our first
Oh,
episodes.
wow, I didn't realize that.
And
That's
then
so funny.
we had David
When I wrote
also.
that song with Emma, I was that was like in 2021 or 2022. I was so nervous because I was like a big Lute fan like throughout all of college.
Yeah.
And so that session was like a really big deal for me. And then we ended up like making a collab and like putting out the song too. It just was like, and now she's like a friend, but like it was just looking back, I was so nervous.
That's so
I know, it was
that's
cute.
really cute.
Yeah, it is cute. Yeah. So I had been living in LA since I was 22. Um, and, was like doing my thing for the first couple years and hustling, 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 hustling. And, there was so many like domino effect type stuff, but I felt like I felt like I was old enough
Uh-huh.
to like handle certain things well. I think there were some things that I went through that were very difficult for me that I think now being 31, like I wouldn't allow myself to go through again. But like I am happy that like I went to college and had that kind of experience, like I wasn't like 18 and like fresh out of high school, I felt like I had like some life experience under my belt, but we're constantly learning and evolving. So
Well,
yeah.
that kind of brings me to your album in retrospect.
Yeah.
It's dropping July 10th,
Yes.
2026.
Yeah.
And I've listened to a lot of the songs.
Yeah.
And you said it started off as a kind of a breakup album,
Yeah.
but then it became more, well, also about healing and growing.
Yeah.
So when you look back on those years, like when you said you were making some mistakes and stumbling,
Yeah.
what are some things that happened and what did you learn from that?
Um, I think I was obsessed with pleasing people, and
Hmm.
I always have been. I think like as a queer person too, it's like hard not to feel that way when we're like brought into a world where like you like innately like crave acceptance and like you crave like yeah, like being like liked because you're told that, you know, you feel so othered that like you're it's just like that like innate feeling in you. So I think for a while I made a lot of decisions that were based on not just filling my cup, but like filling other people's cups and like not thinking about myself first. And like, like obviously there's time and there's a time and place to put others before yourself, obviously. But I think that there were just like a lot of moments that I let things, you know, slide that I shouldn't have. And I just think it took going through the hard experiences to get to a point now where I'm like, I have more boundaries, like I
Yeah.
feel like the older you get, I think turning 30 like was kind of pivotal for me because I think it was right when I got out of this toxic thing and I was like writing this record and yeah, a lot of it started as like angry breakup songs and then like the more I was writing, the more I felt like the focus was less on that person, and it became more like personal and like healing for myself, you know? Like once I was able to put myself first and get out of that, it was like the first step of being like, oh, like I was strong enough to do that. Like now let's like make some other changes, you know? And that's kind of like why I called it In Retrospect, just because I feel like it's easy to look back on like those experiences and like guilt yourself for like staying in something for too long or for not handling it right. But like for me, I'm like, I look back and I'm like, thank God it happened. Even though it sucked, like, thank God it happened because I feel proud of where I'm at right now. So,
Well, it looks like you learned a lot of lessons, and listened to God Complex, which
mm,
is all about, ego and
yeah,
being in this toxic relationship, and I felt like you were in maybe like a narcissistic kind of, you were dealing like with a narcissistic personality, am I right?
you're so right. Yeah, I was.
Well, you know what? You know how I know, or what gave me a clue is because you said that you put people sometimes before yourself.
Yeah,
And I am someone that does that too.
yeah,
So, what I learned from a psychotherapist is that empaths are actually attracted to, and narcissists are attracted to, empaths are attracted to narcissists,
yes,
right? Because we love to give and heal, and they're
yes,
very broken.
yes,
Hate to say it that way, but they need healing.
yeah,
And the narcissists, they love to take. And who is good at being generous? The empath.
yeah.
So I've had to learn that myself, but you're much younger than me.
I mean,
So I'm giving you props.
it was, yeah, it was a journey. It was a journey. And, I relate to that. I resonate with that wholeheartedly.
Now, I kind of want to dive into that a little bit too,
Yeah.
because I feel like love is an addiction. And I feel that um, I don't know, something's going on. Like, are you in a relationship right now, or are you dating?
I am single.
Okay.
And I will say, like, I wish I could um go into like more like specifics about that relationship, but that relationship actually wasn't even romantic, which is crazy.
Oh,
It
it was like
was
a friend
it
relationship?
was like a professional relationship that like became too close. Like
Uh-huh.
um and yeah, it's like because of that it's hard to be like specific because like the industry is small and like I don't want to like throw anyone's name under the rug, but like um that's it was weird. Yeah.
Controlling.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it sounds like somebody kind of felt like you were their possession and that you needed to do what they said. And because I've heard stories like that, and
Yeah.
it's unfortunate because I also feel like, because you're this up and coming artist that, maybe at the time you were younger, that some people try to take advantage of that. It's really wrong.
Yeah, I think like artists, especially like at the beginning of their career when they meet someone who like really believes in them, like an artist will feel like they owe that person so much because like they were the ones that like saw you from the beginning, like before you were even like relevant and like they took a chance on you. So like for me, that made it so hard to exit that relationship because I felt like I owed this person so much for like discovering me earlier
Mhm.
on, but like this was like years. This was like many years and I constantly was just like um disappointed and like
Mhm.
felt like I was being lied to about a lot of things and I don't think I was being represented well. And it was, I talk about this a lot. I think anger is like a really hard emotion for me to explore. It doesn't feel like a safe emotion for me to explore because as the kind of like abandonment issues, like empath type person, it's like
Mhm.
being like when I'm angry, the fear thought is like I don't want them to leave me because I'm like being crazy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I
Mhm.
guess being angry, like every time I expressed anger, it was like, you're being crazy. And that was so hard for me because I was angry.
Yeah.
I was fucking angry. Sorry, I swore, but I don't know if I can swear on this. But I was very angry. And there were moments where I deserved to be very angry. And I expressed my anger and it was met with you know, like you're being like dramatic and like that, and that's a trigger word for me too, you
Hmm.
know, like you're being dramatic. Um, and so yeah, it's tough. And I think it is a very niche thing like in the entertainment industry, like for artists to like have these kinds of relationships with people in the business because it's like these really niche relationships that people outside of the industry don't really understand, you know, but they're like really tight-knit relationships. And now I feel so lucky. I feel like very grateful for like my direct circle like of
Hmm.
people who are around me and like helping me like lift this project off the ground. But it was hard. It
Well,
was hard. Yeah.
I feel like sometimes people will use your emotions to manipulate you
Yes.
and make you feel like you're the bad guy
Yes.
instead of them.
Mhm.
And that's not cool.
No.
Um, how do you separate from somebody like that? I mean, because even though it wasn't a love relationship, I mean, it's so complicated and you've been with that person for so long, you finally realize that this is toxic, this is not healthy.
Yeah.
Um, there's still like grieving and all that. I mean, how did you separate yourself from that toxicity?
uh I feel like I think I just hurt I hit like a boiling point. Like I think there were like things that kept it got worse. Like the last year of it, I just felt like it got so much worse so quickly. And I will say too, like I'm talking about this kind of like professional. It was like a professional like friend like it was a friendship because we had worked together for so long. Um but I just want to say like yeah, I feel like this goes for like romantic relationships, friendships, like people can be friend like people go through friend breakups all the time because they realize that like they're no longer aligned with someone. And I guess for me it hit a point where like I mean it took me like a long time. Like it wasn't it took me years to like really let go, you know. I mean, I've been seeing the same therapist for like 7 years since I like moved to LA. I mean, I've been here almost 10 years, but I've been with the same therapist here for like 7 years, and she was like very important to like in guiding me through that journey and like um reminding me that it's hard. I feel like it's not a therapist's job to be like you should end it,
Hmm.
but I think it's their job to help you see clearer what's happening. And there's that movie, uh, Perks of Being a Wallflower, I think, where they're like, you accept the love you think you deserve. And I think that's the whole thing with this new record too. And like looking back retrospectively is like, I was accepting the love I thought I deserved. Like, I don't think I felt whole inside, you know, like, I think many of us look for romantic partners or people in our lives to like fill the voids that like we feel insecure about.
Hmm.
And I think going through this entire thing has reminded me that like we are all like whole people who should be looking for other whole people to partner with and not like I'm looking for my other half because nobody can make you feel truly whole besides you. And I think it took me a long time to realize that I deserved better. Like I thought I deserved that clearly because I stayed in it. And I think um it hit a point where there was like a lot of lying happening and I basically like caught this person in a lie. And I was like, I'm done. I can't. I'm done being lied to and like manipulated and gaslit and like um
What was the what was the So that was it. It was like a culmination of lies. I mean, was there like a big blow up that where you finally said, enough is enough and I'm
yeah.
done?
Yeah, there was. And also like I will like oh my God. This is crazy. This was someone I did like we did couples therapy. We weren't even a romantic couple. It
Gosh.
was crazy. It was crazy.
But it's okay though, because I've heard of friendships that are like this
Yeah.
and it can get very dangerous.
Yeah.
And it's hard to understand, but for people who are narcissists or who are controlling, it doesn't matter if it's a love relationship or a client or whatever it is. I think it's just that feeling of power and their own insecurities,
Oh, for
right?
sure. Yes. And also, like, I feel like therapy is like couples therapy, which I haven't done much of, but like with that, and I love the show Couples Therapy. Like, I love watching it, and I think Orna's incredible. But um, a lot of the time, it's like it validates that it's wrong. You know what I mean? It's like it's not like sometimes it's useful to like help fix things and like work on things in a relationship, but also like after the third and final therapy session between us, I that was also when I was like, even with a mediator, like this is done. Like there is nothing that we can grow from. Like there's nothing to fix anymore. Um and yeah, there was like a specific situation where I yeah, caught this person in a lie, and I just had like concrete proof. And it was so dumb, and like they still denied it, and I was like I lit like and it's funny cuz in a very narcissistic way, they were like, when I caught them in the lie, they were like, I need space. I can't talk to you about this. And then like it became like a couple days of like no talking. And then finally, when they were able to speak, like we had a conversation, and I was like, I don't think this is working. And they were like, yeah, it's definitely not. And I was like, it's definitely not. And that was it.
Okay.
And it truly, I think it's yeah, for anyone in that kind of dynamic with anyone, a family member, a
Right.
friend, a loved like it could be so there are so many different forms of this that happen,
Hmm.
and it's just so hard to let go. But um, it reminded me of my strength, and I think with the album, like, and we'll get into some of the songs, but like, I got out of that. I started writing some angry songs like God Complex, and like,
Good.
and that felt so cathartic.
Yeah.
But then I caught myself wanting to truly like better myself. I was like, I want to like work out more. I want to be healthier. I quit vaping. And we
Hmm.
got there's a song about it on the record.
Right.
And it wasn't even like it took me looking back in retrospect to connect the two. Like, I'm like, it's not a coincidence that I left this thing and had the strength to leave. And then all of these good things started happening, like I started reading more. I
Yeah.
started it's like you catch yourself bettering yourself, and you're like, huh, this wouldn't have happened if I didn't leave.
You know what I think? There are some people that get into relationships and they'll say, I felt like I wasted 4 years of my life, or I feel like I wasted. I don't know why people say that. I think there's always something that you can learn, even, especially from bad relationships.
Yeah.
You start to look at yourself and you realize, okay, I can't change that person,
Yes.
but I could change me.
Yes.
I could create more boundaries. I could recognize and maybe learn more about narcissism,
Yeah.
or, just the signs and red flags.
Totally. It was a huge. I mean, it's a huge part of my journey. Like, I wouldn't change it. And because this is more of like a music industry like specific podcast, I will say another part of what made it so difficult was like this was also like a business decision. Like, this
Mhm.
was someone I was like working with professionally. So like this was a decision that like would impact my business as like an artist and as a musician. And for anyone listening, it's like it's not worth your mental health. Like, if your mental health is suffering, even if you feel like you're bringing in money or opportunities, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. It's not.
What kind of mental health struggles were you going through during that? I mean, you mentioned anger and
I was literally anxious all the time. Like, my anxiety levels were like through the roof.